Hello everyone. I decided to create one more video this week that will help you with Homework 1. If you open Homework 1, you probably notice at the very end that you have an exercise that asks you to essentially run some very basic descriptive statistics. So here I'm trying to do something very similar to that assignment. This way you'll know what to do. It's not it's not an assignment that meant to trick you and make your life difficult, but it's an assignment that will help you eventually put your final project together. So let's get started. Last week I provided you with a very basic video of how to set up SPSS. So let's imagine that we already typed the data. So in this particular case, their name. Now notice that we are in the variable view because it's highlighted gray. So under the variable view, we can see that we have our different variables, which are three total. You have height, weight, and ethnicity. We can see that all of them except ethnicity is measured on a scale measure, and ethnicity is nominal. Nominal is another way of saying categorical. And that is why under values here, we can see that under ethnicity, we have set different numerical values to represent different ethnicities. So 1, for example, here represents white, 2 represents Latino, 3 represents Asian, and 4 represents Native Indian, okay? So the reason, again, that we do this is to expedite the when we actually enter the data, and also for certain statistical processes, it makes more sense to have numbers than words. Okay, so now if we switch over to data view, here at the very top, you're going to see your three different variables again. And then these numbers here, 1 through 20, is your different participants, right? These are called your observations. So this is participant number 1, which is 53 inches tall. He's 156 pounds, and he's a 1, which stands for white. And again, if you remember, the way we switch between numbers and words here is by clicking this value labels button, right? So we can see that your first participant is white, your second is white, your third is Latino, Latino, white, white, Asian, and so on and so forth. So we keep clicking between this and we can get the numbers or the actual words, okay? So hopefully this is self-explanatory. You are pretty familiar. There's nothing new. So let's switch back to the variable view and let's actually start running some very basic statistics. So the majority of commands, actually the majority of tests that you're going to use for this course is going to be under the Analyze menu, Descriptives, okay, because that's what we're doing. We're running descriptive statistics, and we're going to selecting the Frequencies menu. Now, because I've already run this analysis once, this is why my variables are here. So I'm going to go ahead and put them where they're supposed to be. So when you first open the data says all your variables, they're going to be on the left-hand side. The variables window here on the right this is where you, I guess, input the variables that you want SPSS to analyze. So in this particular case, if I select height right here and I click this little button, it will bring it over and it will analyze it. Of course, you have to select the type of statistics that you want to use for this particular variable. Now, for the sake of this assignment, I'm going to go ahead and select both my variables, and I'm going to bring it over to my variable window. And now I have to tell SPSS what to do. So under the statistics button, I'm going to select the mean, the median, the mode, the standard deviation, the variance, and the range. Okay, all you have to do is click, right, and we'll select it for you. Don't worry about the remaining of the options. We haven't covered those yet. Okay, so only select the ones that I'm asking you. I believe in your assignment I'm asking you for the mean, median, mode, range, variance, and standard deviation. Okay, click continue. And one more thing that I want you to pay attention on this menu before I click OK is that you also have a charts option. This is a wonderful thing that this frequencies command provides you with, is that you can actually tell SPSS right here to create a certain chart for your variable. So I can select a bar or pie or a histogram. The only negative to this is that if you're analyzing a lot of variables, like in this case, I'm having three different variables in here, it will do the same chart for all of them. And of course, as we're going to cover in your next chapter, is that depending how at the level of measurement of your variable, you will be selecting a different kind of a chart. Okay, so in this particular case, for example, for ethnicity, most likely we would select either a bar chart or pie chart, but for height and for weight, we would be selecting a histogram. Now, for the sake of what I'm doing today, we don't need any chart, so I'm just gonna click none and cancel it. And I'm gonna go ahead and click OK. And SPSS will run the analysis, and every time that you use that analyze frequency descriptives, you're going to get all these tables here. Okay, so the first table is the statistics table, and then the remaining are frequency tables for each variable. The statistics table here, as you can see, will provide with basic descriptive statistics for your variable, which includes your mean, your median, your mode, standard deviation, variance, and range. This is the selections that we did under that little box, if you remember. Okay, of course, um, this is useful when we're dealing with numerical type of variables such as height and weight, but not very useful for ethnicity, I guess. And that's why we also have the frequency table. So depending the type of variable that you're having, you will be, I guess, selecting what results you're going to state. So for height here, it tells you that your and is 20, and remember is your total number of observations or participants. And if you remember in your data set here, in your data view, right, you had 20 different observations. So correctly here, SPSS tells you that you had 20 people that participated and you had no missing values. Your mean, which is your average value, is 57.6 for your height, 146.45 for your weight, and for ethnicity it gives you that the average value is 2.2, which makes absolutely no sense, okay? Because SPSS, what it did is it took all those numbers that represent the different categories and calculated an average, okay? And that is why that we don't like the mean for a categorical variable, okay? It makes absolutely no sense. But for your height and weight, it makes perfect sense. Also, here's your median and your mode, okay? And the remaining of, I'm sorry, I'm having a really bad cold. And here you have the different variability measures, okay? So for your homework, this is what you need to state, all those numbers here. Your ethnicity frequency distribution table provides you with all the information that you need to understand, I guess, how your data is distributed. It tells you that there were a total of 5 white people, which is essentially 25% of your total sample size. There were 7 Latinos, or 35%. Asians, there were 7 Asians and also 35%. And Native Indians, you only had 1 Native Indian, which is essentially 5% of your sample. Okay? Don't worry about the frequency tables for the height and the weight. Again, this is if you want to see the exact distribution of each single, I guess, height. But again, it doesn't really make much sense when you have numerical data like that to look at the frequency table. It makes much more sense when it's group data or categorical data like that. For numerical data, you will be focusing mostly on the statistics. Anyhow, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you still have questions or it's something that simply does not click, feel free to stop by my office hours on Thursday or send me an email. I will be more than happy to help you out. Thank you and have a good one.